Welcome in, everybody. All right. Oh, it's so lovely to see all of your faces. Great. Okay, so welcome in again. We are really excited that you have decided to join us on this lovely day. And we wanted to acknowledge, we know how busy all of your lives are. So we really genuinely appreciate that you have chosen to spend your time with us today. So, and again, it is just wonderful to see all your faces. So welcome again. And thank you so much for being here. We are actually going to get started right away because we have a lot of really great stuff that we want to share. And our goal is by the end of our 90 minutes together, you will have experienced and already started to create healthy energetic boundaries. But we also hope to give you some tools that you can take into your life immediately and start to integrate that into your normal routines. So, we're going to do a little bit of a soft start as folks are still trickling in. So what we'll do over the next few minutes is we'll set the stage. We'll tell you what we're going to experience. So we'll tell you what we're going to tell you, and we'll start with introductions, and then we are going to jump right in. So let's do brief introductions of our speakers today. And not only the speakers, but we also wanted to introduce you all to the Rooted in Three community. And this webinar is actually the first in a series of monthly workshops that we are going to do as part of this new group and this community. So let me tell you a little bit about Rooted in Three, and then we will meet our speakers. So Rooted in Three is a community, and the three of us put it together to help support people. We were finding a lot of people who were curious about energy, and they wanted to explore and experience energy in a meaningful way, in a consistent way. So the Rooted in Three community is going to bring all those people together. It's open to everyone, regardless of your experience or what you do or where you are in your life's journey. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about everything it entails. But for right now, I'll just say that, again, Rooted in Three, it's a group, it's a community. We're going to meet every other week, 1 week for a workshop just like this, and 1 week for a question and answer, where it's going to be group wisdom and group sharing. We are also going to gather during the year for seasonal ceremonies to deepen our connection to energy. And then already on the portal of the membership site, we have discounts on courses on energy, on meditations, on healing and coaching sessions. And also the three of us love to show up in service. So we are also going to be doing a lot of free gifts today. So again, we're not going to give you the hard sell at all, because the energy of that never feels really good. But I also just wanted to tell you that between the three of us today, we have 50 years of experience in energy medicine in over 30 different energy modalities. And we're going to bring it. We're going to bring it all. We're going to customize our conversations. We're going to meet the community where it is. So we always like to say that the three of us did the training and the testing, so you don't have to. And we are really hoping to bring this group together. And really the best part is the group wisdom. So that's what Rooted in Three is all about. So stay tuned for the details on that at the end. We are going to be giving away some free healing sessions. We actually have a member of our community who donated a candle for us when we light our intention. We're going to talk a little bit about that and make a donation to her charity at the end for all of the memberships that get purchased this month. So stay tuned for all of those details. And again, if this experience resonates with you in any way, we invite you to check it out and maybe join us for the fun. And we are going to have a lot of fun today. And I know the three of us look a little bit professional, but I will tell you, we all have our pajama pants on right now because it's 9 a.m. where we are. And we're kind of ready to have fun, but also be relaxed. So with that, let's go ahead and meet our speakers for today. So actually, I'll go ahead and start. My name is Kristen Lemaster, and I'm an energy medicine practitioner. In my first act in life, I was a scientist and an engineer, and I've been practicing energy medicine for almost 25 years. And I do it from the science-based and the evidence-based modalities. So I'm really on the hunt to really understand, the physics of it and the chemistry of it and what's happening. So that's who I am. And I think I also, the three speakers, were going to tell you our favorite things so far about Rooted in Three. And I just wanted to say that my favorite thing about Rooted in Three is when a group comes together, we tend to start to entrain with each other and resonate with each other. And then the group grows exponentially. It's like when one person grows, everybody grows. And I've seen this trend in a lot of different energy healing modalities. So I love being part of an energy community because we really do lift each other up. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and I'll turn the mic over to Angelina, who's going to introduce herself.
Hi, thank you, Kristen, for that. My name is Angelina Padron. I'm an emotion code practitioner that supports integrative practices using somatic psychology that promotes healthy mindsets, actions, and beliefs. And what I love about Rooted in Three is the support and the knowledge and the power that we bring. And with that, I will pass it to Marissa.
Hello and welcome, everybody. I am just so thrilled. I'm seriously shaking a little bit because all of you are here. So thank you so much for spending part of your Saturday morning with us. We are truly thrilled, or wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. But my name is Marissa. I am an attorney and an executive coach, but I also, like many of you, probably all of you, hold many other roles in life, wife, mother, sister, friend. And it has been all of those roles and all of those relationships that have kind of pushed me to expand spiritually and energetically. And what I love about Rooted in Three is the ability to explore in a really safe group that knows a lot. These women, Angelina and Kristen, are ridiculously smart. You'll start seeing that very shortly. And so I love the intellect that they bring, but also the practicality, because again, I work with a lot of people in their mental space as an attorney, and I need to bring this in a way that resonates with the everyday person, right? And finally, I would say just the community, the friendship, and the fun. So thank you all for being here. With that, I will let Angelina set our group intention today.
All right, great. So one thing we like to do when we gather a room like this is to set an intention. So we invite you to hold this space with us. And what I like to do personally, we like to do, is collect the room with a bright energy. So we're going to light this candle. And like Kristen said, we'll talk more about this later on in the seminar. But with that, we're going to ground. And the affirmation that we're using today that's on this candle is that I am present and rooted in my truth. So with that, I will light this, and let's just hold this space and take 3 deep breaths. All right, let's start. Kristen, I'm handing this over to you.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I have the privilege of kicking off the content for today's webinar. And Angelina is going to put in the chat, we're going to talk about 3 different topics today when it comes to creating and maintaining healthy energetic boundaries. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is using our life force energy to create boundaries from a purely energetic perspective. So over the next 20 minutes, we're going to really create how to use our raw energy and take our analytical minds out of the picture and really start to create this sacred space from our own energy. And I'm going to share the tips that I have found to be the most effective for me over the last 20 years, especially since I'm a highly sensitive person. So, and I imagine there are a lot of other highly sensitive people as well in the audience. And for me as a highly sensitive person, these are the things that have worked really well. So, but if we're going to tap into our energy to create our healthy energetic boundaries, I think we need to start from the very beginning and talk a little bit about what energy is. Now, I know a lot of you are already versed in energy, so please just indulge us for a few minutes. We're going to give you our perspective on energy, and we're going to start really high up and we're going to bring it down into our life force energy in our body. So whenever we talk about energy, we really always start at the beginning. everything is energy, right? The screen that you're looking at is energy. Our bodies are energy, our voice, our words, our thoughts, our emotions. If you take a minute to look up and look around, right? And then look inside and see everything is energy. And our bodies are matter. We see and can feel matter. That's just a condensed form of energy. So we always just like to start by saying everything is energy. And we make a paradigm shift also to say that, we talk a lot in our culture about mind, body, spirit, and having balance between them. But in reality, all three of those things, mind, body, spirit, are not created equal. And as it turns out, we don't have energy. We are energy. So first, we are energy that happens to have a body and a mind. And our energy really kind of is the leader between the three of those. So again, everything is energy. We are energy that has a body and a mind. And we're also connected to the energy around us. We're connected to the energy of the earth. Right? This is a big part of being human, is just really tapping into the power and the energy of the earth. But we're also connected to the energy of the universe, whether you call it God or source or universe, whatever it is that really resonates with you and your beliefs, we're also connected to that energy. But if I was going to say one thing about energy that I think is really important, it's that our energy, who we are as energy beings, it's the thing about us that never changes. So our bodies may change, and our friends and family may change, and our work may change, but our energy is the thing that always stays the same. It's the thing that will never lie to us, that is always there to support us for our highest good. So again, everything is energy. We are energy. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that energy, there's been a reference to life force energy, this energy that we have in our bodies in almost every culture and religion around the world. And we call it a lot of different things. Okay. We call it our life force energy. We call it our chi, our soul, our spirit, our prana, our Vityana in Sanskrit. So there's a lot of words. And from the ancient shamanic and Eastern traditions, all the way through modern quantum science, there is a reference to this idea that energy is all around us and also within us. We have our own unique energy signature. So as we jump into the content, I wanted to start there and build that foundation. And of course, we can always, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. We could talk about this for hours, but we do want to move on and really get into that, get into the topic of healthy energetic boundaries. So I wanted to just be clear. We have our own energy, and you are in control of your energy. Okay, you get to choose. You get to choose whether other people's energy are in your space. You get to choose how intense and magnified your energy is. You get to choose what your boundaries look like. Everything from the color and the texture and the density of it. We're going to really get into that as we move forward. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that even though we're going to work today, and we are going to do a lot of practice today, we're not fixing you. We wanted to be really clear about that. We show up, and sometimes we have energetic disturbances that manifest as illnesses in our body, but that's through no fault of our own. And I just wanted to say that even though we are going to grow and evolve a little bit together today, there's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing wrong with your energy. And, we always say, you are exactly where you need to be, and you're perfect just as you are. So for the next 90 minutes, if you just kind of want to maybe shake off, leave anything that you're holding on to that you don't need right now, kind of put it outside the room energetically. And then, and let's have some fun and be curious and open-minded about what might unfold as we get on with this webinar. So I wanted to just mention the shape that you see on your screen right now. You see the person, she's grounded to the earth through her body. She's connected to the energy of the universe that's flowing around her. But also she's in this kind of egg-shaped, and we do call that our aura. So we have energy within our body, and that energy extends 3D, front, back, and sides, extends in a continuous field outside of our body into our aura. And I always like to say, because I work a lot with kids, we're in our eggs, right? We are in our eggs of energy, and it's our sacred space. And when we start to talk about energetic boundaries, what we're doing is we're talking about the shell of the egg. So again, moving forward, everything is energy. We have our own energy, and we're inside an egg, and we're going to focus on what the shell of that egg looks like. So let's go ahead and we will move forward. All right. So I'm going to bring you back to high school biology for just a hot minute. And I wanted to liken our boundaries to what we see with our cells, our body's cells. Our cells have boundaries also. So a lot of times when we think about boundaries, we think about them being barriers. But one of the things that I have learned, this was a hard lesson for me and have experienced over the years, is that truly healthy energetic boundaries are not barriers. They are more like filters. And as a filter, as your shell of your egg, it's letting in the good and keeping out the bad. And I don't mean to create a duality here with good and bad, or good and evil, because really energy is neutral. But what I mean is that you can set up your boundaries so that you can let the energy of the earth flow through you, the energy of source flow through you, but then filter out other people's emotions and energy, and filter out the energy or the vibes of the environment that you may be in, right? So one shift that you might want to make right now is to not think about the shell of your egg as a barrier, but to think about it as a filter. When I do a little bit of teaching in addition to seeing clients, so I wanted to tell you that in all of the years that I've been working with people in energy, I see two trends when it comes to energetic boundaries, and they're both extreme. Okay, the first one is that the boundary is like a steel door, like a bank vault, and it is such a strong, impenetrable barrier. It has I've seen people with like spikes on the outside of their boundaries. And I also, I had a really strong boundary, and wanted to just tell you this story real quick. But when I started to study at the Academy of Intuition Medicine, they called my boundary a shield, and nobody could see through it. Even like the seasoned TAs, whenever we practiced on each other, I would sit down in the chair and everyone would be like, Kristen, you got to let us in. We can't see your energy and help you heal your energy if you won't let us in. And it took months. It took some months for me to drop my shield. So that's an example of a very extreme barrier. And I'll say too, my shield was born out of fear, right? That barrier was born out of my need to feel safe and protected. Angelina, in her topic, she's going to talk a little bit about creating boundaries that are born out of love instead of fear. So we're going to touch on that a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that trend. Now, the second trend is that people have no boundaries, right? And their energy is just kind of splatting all over the place. So does anyone ever feel like this, where you feel like everything around you is just sucking the energy out of your body? Either our devices or being in crowds, or even sometimes our thoughts and our worries. So this is the second trend, is that so people either have really solid boundaries or they tend to just be all over the place. But we do know that if we kind of go back to this relationship of the cell, that we can do it a different way, and that we can pull all of our energy back into our body, into our aura. We're not going to leave any of our energy outside. We're going to pull it all in. And then we're going to have a filter on the outside. And the filter is going to help us keep our energy inside. And it's going to let in the things that nourish us. And it's going to keep out the things that tend to deplete us. I do want to mention too, and Marissa's going to talk more about boundaries and relationships in a minute, but really our boundaries are about how we are interacting with the energy around us, right? That filter is, how are we interacting with the energy of others? And it's not just people, it's how do we interact with the energy of food or time or animals or nature, right? So really our energetic boundaries tend to be about energetic relationships. And when you really start to heal and grow and evolve your energetic boundaries, a lot of times your relationships, they'll change. Okay. No one gave me that warning at the beginning. So I'll just tell you now that when you do start to work on your boundaries, your relationships might start to change, and it might take some people by surprise, but if you're holding your boundaries and integrity, the change is always for the good of everybody, and you will start to see some beautiful things unfold. Okay, so now that we have a good understanding about boundaries being filtered, I thought we could do a practice together, an exercise. And we are going to actually create and maintain. And hopefully, in this moment together as the group today, we're going to experience some healthy, energetic boundaries. So, we're going to do just a little bit more talking from our analytical mind, and then we're actually going to settle in. So I'll just say that we're going to start our exercise by bringing our awareness from the outside world into your body. So right now, again, if you can, just kind of ignore everything around. I mean, obviously you want to listen to my voice, but bring your awareness into your body. And when you bring your awareness into your body, your energy follows your awareness. So all automatically, you guys have already brought more of your energy back into your body. Okay. Bring your energy in. Just take a moment to feel any sensations, maybe in your stomach, in your jaw. Maybe take some deep breaths and try to relax things out. But again, these are very, very simple exercises. They do take practice. But our first step is just to bring our awareness in. And then what we're going to do, we're going to further focus our awareness to a special part of our brain. It's called our center. I'm going to show you a picture in a minute. The center of our brain is where we receive a lot of the frequencies around us from the outside world and also from inside. Now, medically speaking, the center is the third ventricle. It's a little cave in the inside of your brain that houses a lot of your glands, like the hypothalamus and your pituitary and your pineal glands. And again, these glands are receiving the frequencies of the energy inside of you and outside of you. When we bring our awareness into our center, we're able to take our awareness out of our analytical mind, out of our survival brain. We take our awareness out of our emotions, and it's almost like a command center. So when you bring your attention to your center, you're really getting all the information you need, but it's also the place where you're processing that alongside your intuition. So let me go ahead and I'll show you the diagram of where your center is. Actually, one more thing before we get there. I do want to mention, and this came up in a very recent conversation actually with some of you, and that is I wanted to give you a preview of maybe where you're going as we dive into this exercise. And I wanted to say that eventually you are not going to need to focus on the shell of your aura. Eventually, we are so strong in our energy that we don't need a conscious boundary. And the vibration of our energy and the energy of the universe and the earth flowing through us is enough to filter out the things that don't nourish us. So again, when we are bringing our awareness from the outside world to the inside world, already you are strengthening your aura so that your energy also serves as a filter in addition to these conscious boundaries that we are about to create. Okay, so this is the picture of the brain. And again, this is the center. And what you see in orange there, that's the hypothalamus gland. And the hypothalamus is in your center. So this is just to give you an idea without getting too much into your analytical mind about where you want to bring your awareness right now. Okay, and a good way to find your center is to take your index finger and put it at the very top of the bridge of your nose, between your eyes, not as high as your eyebrows, but down a little bit. And if you imagine your fingers sinking straight back into your brain, where your fingertip is, that's where your center is, okay? That's where this magic spot in your brain is where you can really hear your intuition and really tap into your energy. So again, let's just, everyone go ahead, bring your awareness back into the center of your brain. And then to create our boundaries, we always like to say we intend and pretend, right? So we talked about how we're energy beings and we do have a body and we do have a mind. And through intending and pretending, what we're doing is we're getting our mind on board, right? Because our mind likes to think it's the boss. And it kind of has to get familiar with our energy and how it speaks to us. So one thing that we can do is from our center and really try to experience your energy, bring your awareness to the shell of your egg and just intend. I have healthy, energetic boundaries. I have healthy, energetic boundaries. I have healthy, energetic boundaries. Really kind of feel your way through it from your center. Okay. Any kind of intention that you need. And then staying in your center and keeping that intention in place, we can also pretend. Okay. And the sky is the limit when it comes to your imagination. So now go ahead and from your center, put your awareness on the shell of your egg, and you can make that shell anything that you want it to be. Any color, any texture. I will say we talked a little bit about boundaries being barriers. I will say sometimes we do need to have barriers, right? If we are overwhelmed, if we're in a place where we really, truly do not feel safe and we're living and making decisions from fear. So if you need to, absolutely go ahead and put a temporary barrier in place there. When I'm really frazzled, I like to do everything we just did, come to center, bring my energy into my body, ground. And then I like to think of my shell as a one-way mirror that reflects back the energy of everything around me. And while that one-way mirror is up, I'll do all of the inner work that I need to do to settle, take some deep breaths, do my affirmations, remind myself that I'm okay. And then I'll take down that barrier. But a lot of times my barrier is like a golden mesh, and it's almost resonating with this like pulse, right, of energy that is pulsing out into the universe. Like I let in everything that nourishes me and I'm free of other people's energy, right? So go ahead and just, take a minute as we continue to talk to play around with what you want the shell of your energetic boundary to be. And really the key here is to do it from your center and not from your analytical mind, because from your center, again, is really where you're tapping into the energy. So it's a really very simple process. I will say it takes repetition and practice before you can automatically show up. But I always like to reset my boundaries anytime I go to the bathroom, right? Because that's something I have to do several times a day. So I just work that in, I get my reps in. And then also when I'm getting ready to leave the house, right? I brush my teeth, I put on my shoes, I grab my keys, I put on my boundaries, and I walk out the door, right? So it just becomes part of your routine. Okay. And just remember, intend and pretend from your center. Okay, and now I want to tell you the biggest mistake that we make with our auras and our boundaries, and that is we tend to leave our backs and the tops open. So just put a little extra attention to your back. At the Academy of Intuition Medicine, the teacher always there says a lot of people walk around with hospital gown auras, right? So we don't walk around with our backsides hanging out in public. We shouldn't do that with our energy anyway. And I'm going to be honest, sometimes the back of my aura is a barrier and everything else is a filter. So again, just play around with it. There's no hard and fast rule. It's whatever resonates with you. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about one more thing when it comes to boundaries, and then I'm going to turn it over to Marissa, who's going to talk about boundaries and relationships. But let's talk about how our healthy boundaries impact others. And again, this is kind of the start of how we are relating our boundaries to our relationships. So you can see here in the picture, again, this is a scenario I think we're probably all familiar with. When we're in a crowd, people are pushing their energy on us. Other people's energy is really distracting. The vibe maybe isn't feeling good. And again, there's two responses here that I see all the time. People either leave their bodies, their energy is, I do the same, out my seventh chakra, I'm out, right? I can't handle it. Or we push back. We take our energy and we push it back on others, right? Because we're feeling subtly that the energy around us may not be safe. Okay, so those are the two responses. But now we know that there's a third response, right? You can sit in your energetic wholeness. So you can be fully present. You can have your energy in your body, in your center. You can create a healthy shell for your egg, and you can be grounded. So you can actually sit in your sacred space, and it does not matter what anyone else is doing, and it doesn't matter what is happening around you. When you are inside your boundaries in your sacred space, it really is living in the state of energetic wholeness. And that's where, honestly, so many beautiful things can unfold in your life. And one of the greatest things about holding space, this is called holding space for others. One of the greatest things about it is that when you get yourself in your beautiful, healthy egg, subtly you are letting other people know that it's okay to do that. You're giving permission and you're setting an example, and other people's energy will catch on. So when we talk about holding space for others, this is what we mean. We are sitting fully in our body, and we're fully present, and we're fully grounded, and we're being there for others. This is a really great way to work on your boundaries and improve your energetic relationships. So now all of us do it. I do this too. A lot of us do push our energy on other people, right? And again, there's no shame in that at all. We all do it. Now you're aware of it though, right? So you can kind of pull your energy back. But I think it's kind of natural as a human to want to push your energy on other people, right? Like we all want to be seen, and we all want to be heard, and we all want to be understood. And energy is a little counterintuitive that way, because when you push your energy on others, it actually will push them away. So one of the lessons that is taught in many of the modalities that I've taken, but we're going to talk about the one that's taught in the energy codes for the next few minutes, really demonstrates this idea. So Dr. Sue Morter, who wrote the Energy Codes book, she calls this practice subject, object, subject, right? Where you're pushing your energy out, bringing it back in. So you are the subject. Okay, and let's just do a little exercise. Why don't you pick an object somewhere in the room? Okay. Bring all your energy into your body, just like we did. Bring all your energy in with your healthy egg and see how you feel. Now push your energy onto that object and see how you feel. And now pull it back to subject and see how you feel. You can do it again. Pick a second object. Push your energy onto that object, and just like for me, my throat gets, pull my energy back. Okay. So this exercise of subject, object, subject, where you're pushing your energy and bringing it back, will really help you to experience what it's like for you to be holding space for others and to be fully, fully holding space and inside your healthy boundaries. So, I think that's it. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna check in with Marissa and Angelina and see if any questions came in the chat. But if not, if we have time at the end, I think we might do voice questions. But that's it. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope you were able to experience being inside a healthy egg. In fact, I will open it up to Angelina.
Well, I just wanted to say that was beautiful. I love that exercise. And I really liked what you said about the control center in your mind and pulling your attention to that spot, because, we hear about all these spots in our brains, but to actually put touch to it, I thought that was fascinating. And that was beautiful. Marissa, what do you got to say?
Yeah, and we have some folks that were really sensing it, feeling the tingling. Yes, definitely tingling, and so many other sensations. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. But when we were doing the subject, object, subject, for me, I definitely, like when I was forcing my energy out, I could totally feel it in my jaw. And this is obviously very much akin to, like Kristen said, when we do this in real life, whether we're projecting that energy onto our children or our spouses or our colleagues at work, whoever it is. So, and of course, the magic here, though, is that we all do this, and it's okay, like Kristen said, but recognizing that you do it and being able to bring yourself back to center, because when we do this too much, of course, it could cause some emotional issues and other rifts between relationships. But I think that for me, one of the things that I've experienced is like actual physical imbalances and actual physical illness, right? And inflammation in the body and things like that. And so these practices, they may seem very simple and really just kind of nice, perhaps, but you really can use them. And I will attest that I certainly have, to bring balance and equilibrium back to the body so that you can regain your health or get yourself to an even healthier state of physical body, but of course, mind and spirit, all the rest. So thank you, Kristen. And with that, if there aren't any questions, but please do feel free to chime in with questions at any point or any comments. We are so open to that and want this to be very much for all of you. But with that, I will go ahead and switch over to our next topic, which is boundaries in relationships. So we're going to talk a little bit about relationships. I think we all probably have some people stuff, right, that we could address. And in truth, when you look at relationships, what we're really looking at is a path to oneness. In other words, people often will bring up our stuff for us. And so a lot of times they're really just mirroring something that we, your soul, if you want to call it that, your own energy imprint, whatever it is that you want to call that, that needs to kind of work through. And when we do work on our relationships, then we find so much happiness in our lives, right? And so I love this quote by Paramahansa Yogananda. I definitely have a big yoga practice myself, and appreciate so much of what this being came to this world to say. But in this one, he says, the greatest of all happiness, next to divine happiness, is to be at peace with one's immediate relations, those with whom one must live every day in the year. And I suspect that many of you, like me, have some of those. A Course in Miracles calls it special relationships, those relationships that kind of like get you sometimes, and it could be a parent, it could be somebody else in your life, but they're there and they're there for us to learn from them. So if we can take the opportunity, kind of, challenge accepted sort of an attitude, then we can definitely work through a lot. So we're going to look at one way to do this through a few different kind of mixed modalities here. So, and the way I'm really going to be presenting this is looking at it through the solar plexus. That would be your third chakra. So you don't need to know about the chakras, and we actually will have a class on them, but it's basically the space right below your heart, kind of at the top of your rib cage. And it's interesting because this I consider kind of the power center. Dr. Sue from the Energy Codes and Angelina, Kristen, and I are all Energy Codes facilitators. So you'll hear us reference that quite a bit. But she calls it, the place where there's the power of 1,000 suns, and also the place where we kind of do set energetic boundaries. But also, it's very important because this particular center helps us to connect the mind and the body. Okay. And the reason that that's important is because many of us live in our mind and believe that all these thoughts that we're thinking and all of our perceptions are created in the mind, and so we can fix them in the mind. But the truth is that the body has an innate intelligence that once you start tapping into through what Kristen just taught us and so many other techniques, then you really start tapping into the heart of matters. And so a lot of folks say, the body keeps the score or the body tells the story. And it's really when we tap into that feeling and tap into those sensations that we can really move through something. So we've taught actually solar plexus breath before in some of our clubhouse gatherings, and we will most likely teach that again. However, I'm not sure that we'll have time to do that today, but that's a breath that specifically uses that chakra to really connect your mind and body and move through different sensations to kind of move through different potential obstacles or perceived obstacles that you're seeing in your life. But again, today I want to keep it to relationships. And so With that, some of the key relationships in our lives tend to be our caretakers. For many of us, that may have looked like a mother and a father, perhaps a mother or a father. It could have also been an aunt or an uncle or, somebody else. But whoever it was that took primary care for us as we were growing up, those would be kind of considered a primary caretaker relationship, and a really significant one in terms of kind of aligning yourself with all that you are as you work through those. Romantic relationships, of course, for many of us can be big, either existing or perhaps previous. There could be a lot of, I'll call it gunk or stuff or baggage. It has many names, but it could be kind of a loaded relationship there that has a lot of pieces that are kind of weighing you down. And what's amazing is that I'm suspecting that even as I'm saying this, you could probably start thinking about different relationships in your life. And it might be that you already can feel it. So, for example, when I say work and work relationships, maybe you can immediately think of a colleague and like you get a pit in your stomach, right? Or like a lump in your throat, right? Or maybe, your shoulders kind of feel like tension. You could feel it in many different places, and all of it is okay. Today, what I would like to do is help you to get a little bit of clarity on one of those relationships. So I would like you to choose one that is not supercharged. You may not want to pick, the person that really gets to you, but perhaps somebody, or, think of somebody in your life that does have a charge, okay, you do kind of feel it, and you kind of wish maybe things were different, or you sort of just are kind of confused as to why they're behaving this way, whatever it is. Let's just think of that one person. And if you have a sheet of paper, I would love to have you take that and write a line down the middle. And just so that you can create two columns, you can write the person's name at the top of the paper. And what we're going to do, and we won't start yet, but we're just going to look at this through the lens of just being open and honest with ourselves. So I'll offer an open-ended question here. And then it's really important to allow ourselves to provide unfiltered responses. So again, this piece of paper is only for you. I'm not going to ask you to share that unless you really want to. That would be great. But then we're going to look at this through a little exercise that I'm going to explain further. But first of all, let's go ahead and pick a relationship. Again, choose one that you can handle and go ahead and write that person's name down. And then on the left-hand side of the column, go ahead and ask yourself, what are the qualities of this person that just don't sit well with me? Or, another way to look at it, what really bugs me about this person? And just allow yourself to kind of scribble down some unfiltered responses. It could be that maybe this person is arrogant, or maybe they're lazy, or maybe, whatever it is. I'm doing it right alongside with you. And then before we come back, I want you to go ahead and see that, and maybe look at what you've written, or perhaps what you've thought about if you didn't want to write this down, what you've thought about. And then let's give yourself a little bit of distance. Okay. So again, Kristen just taught us how to create this beautiful bubble all around us. And so let's go ahead and look at this. And she also gave us the subject, object, subject tool. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to breathe into ourselves and, be the subject. And then this relationship, we're going to put outside of ourselves. So that will be the object, but you're looking at it, right? And you're coming back into yourself, your whole beautiful egg. Don't forget the back and the top, like Kristen warned. And we're going to look at that and go ahead and choose one of those things that bugs you about this person. But now what we're going to do is, with a lot of compassion here, you're going to just look at this situation through the lens of forgiveness. And before I teach you how to do this Ho'oponopono prayer, I will tell you that forgiveness has been a really powerful tool for me. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who many of you might have read his books or follow him a bit, he teaches that gratitude is the greatest state of receivership. I mean, everybody teaches about gratitude, right? It's really important. However, I will tell you that the one way to expand your ability to be in that greater state of receivership, to experience more gratitude in your life, is to release some of the gunk or the blocks or the emotional pain that's holding you back. And that is through forgiveness, right? So Gratitude is amazing, and you can have more of it and experience more of it if you forgive. So, what we're asking you to do is not so much to let somebody off the hook. That's not it at all. But you're letting yourself off the hook. So, you're looking at this situation, maybe looking at this particular relationship that you chose, and maybe the person is very prideful, or maybe they say hurtful things. Whatever it is, look at it with compassion, again, outside of yourself, allowing yourself to be in your own space, taking a deep breath, and then saying this very powerful, this is a Hawaiian prayer that has been used quite a bit, and for me, again, it's been very powerful. But looking at that situation from a distance, saying in your mind, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And we'll say that 2 more times, realizing that, again, we're not letting anybody off the hook, but we're allowing ourselves to release whatever it is that we're feeling, so that that can allow us to open up to a greater state of receivership. So again, maybe even sensing in the body and feeling where you feel it and hugging that spot. If it's your left shoulder, it doesn't matter where it is, but just gently bringing attention to it. And again, a light attention to this relationship outside of you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And one last time, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And with that kind of settling into your body, I know I felt some shifts, so maybe some of you did as well. I kind of do feel kind of a sense of openness myself. But going back to that list on the left-hand side and looking at it and choosing the specific situation or piece that you had already been working with, and seeing if on the right-hand side you could see it in a different way. So maybe if this person appears to be prideful, perhaps they're really just trying to share who they are with you, right? Or they're just trying to be seen, or just noticing if you can have a little bit of clarity and see the situation and through more oneness, essentially, because when we're looking at both sides and allowing us to look at both sides, we're essentially creating that beautiful oneness that allows us to feel open and free and flowing and gets all this stuff unstuck from us. So I love that exercise. You can use it in so many different ways. I work with third graders. I've used it with them. I do a lot of executive coaching with attorneys. I've used it with some of them. And it's really a fun practice to use in different ways. And again, it just gives you an opportunity to really assess both sides of a situation. And I like to throw the forgiveness prayer in there, especially with this group, because I think you guys are more open to it. And when you do that, I find that it makes the coming back and looking at it from the other side just a little easier. So I'd love to hear if that did help any of you with that. And then, of course, with relationships and boundaries, it's also about our own letting go sometimes, right? And letting the other person shine. And sometimes you have to assess whether that means giving them tools, teaching your child how to take out the trash or teaching somebody at work how to assist you in a way that you want them to assist you. And then staying out of their way too, right? Not being that micromanaging or helicopter parent or whatever situation you are in, right? And then, of course, offering support without judgment. And through my executive coaching, I've learned that one of the best ways to do that is really just asking open-ended, curious questions, just because you do want to know, right? And you do care about the person. And finally, what I would add is be patient. All of these methods absolutely work, and I can tell you that they do. There was a time not too long ago when I felt like I couldn't walk, I couldn't sit, I couldn't hug my child. There was just so much stuff on me. And when I started, I went to doctors, I took tests, I did all kinds of stuff. And it's like, no, there's nothing there. And when I started doing so much of the emotional work, it was amazing because I kept feeling better and better and better and better. My energy kept increasing, and it continues on that trajectory. So, of course, this community is certainly partially an invitation to be part of that if you would like to be. And again, not through any specific path. The three of us have taken wildly different ones, but definitely, through your own path. And we're just happy to be along for the journey. So thank you for letting me share that. And I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Angelina. or if anybody has anything.
Good. Yeah, I was going to say thank you for that. I really love that Ho'oponopono prayer. It's never failed me. And Kristen, you want to jump in?
Yeah, well, we have a question in the chat I want to get to, but I wanted to let you in on a little secret of what I do. I also love to make lists and do this. And again, we started off by talking about pure raw energy with boundaries and taking our analytical mind out of it. But the exercise and the tool that Marissa just walked us through, it's a little bit more holistic because she brought in the mind and the body to work with the energy. And I think that writing and doing this exercise is really helpful. I wanted to show I do this in a journal that locks, right? So clearly still working on trust and safety issues, but I feel like when I have something that little prying hands can't get into, I feel like I can really let that free flowing stuff come through. So just wanted to share that. Thank you so much, Marissa. That was beautiful.
Of course. And there is one more question. When somebody's asking what's a good way to ground myself before I go out to the world for work every day. So specifically work. So I would definitely say, kind of releasing some of the charges on whoever it is that's really like bothering you potentially at work, but also there's tons of visualization that you could do. So for example, if you're kind of putting your attention to that center part of the brain, like Kristen suggested, building up the aura and imagining how you do want to see your workday, right? So that your attention is going to that space instead of the now I have to do this. And actually, as I said that, I would also say, watch your language. I get to go to work instead of like, I have to do this. Oh my gosh, it's only Monday. It's only Tuesday, living for Friday is not fun. You want to feel like every day is a Friday and you'll get there eventually. But just using all these little bits and pieces, but I would say choose one, don't overload yourself and be consistent with it. Try it for 9 days with intention, or try it for 30 days and just see what happens. That would be my recommendation. I don't know if you ladies have anything else to add.
Well, I was just going to say, when it comes to grounding, being grounded is probably one of the most important things that we can do as human beings, right? And actually, we have next month, the February workshop is going to be about grounding. It's going to be all about different grounding techniques. We're going to talk about the energy of the earth and actually how we can bring the energy of the earth into our bodies. But for right now, I ground probably 100 times a day. So right now we can do like a quick grounding. So again, bring your awareness into your body, bring your awareness into your center. And now imagine that you're going to drop tree roots right into the center of the earth. And it doesn't have to be tree roots, whatever resonates. Sometimes I have a big red plug where I plug myself into the center of the earth. But in your body, feel your legs and your feet get heavy. Feel your tailbone just get really heavy, like the earth is just sucking you in. And again, do this from your center and not from your analytical mind, and really experience the grounding in your body and your energy. And like I said, I do this 100 times a day. In fact, I've already done it 100 times already today as we were getting ready for this webinar. So I hope that answered your question. There was one other question, Marissa, that came in during your talk. And, she asked, how do we kind of protect ourselves from people who keep sending us negative texts? So I think she did your exercise. This came in before your clarity exercise. So I'd be interested to hear if that helped at all. But also, I was just going to throw out one concept. And again, this is something we could talk for hours on. I mean, we would keep you here all day long talking about energy if we could, which is one of the reasons why we decided to create Rooted in Three, right? Because we just love to talk about it. But I want to mention one thing. And again, we can talk about this as a group in the Rooted in Three community. But every relationship that you have, and I want to say this, but I'm going to preface it by there's no shame or blame or fault or anything. But I do want to say that every relationship that you have in your life energetically is a two-way relationship, right? Yeah. So especially if you have a trend of people in your life, right? Who just the same kind of person pops up over and over and over again, that's usually a signal that you have that person is meeting you because something inside of you, it's like prompting you to do the inner work, right? So I would say if you have someone who's really negative towards you, don't approach it from the outside world first, approach it from inside first. So make your energetic boundaries, go inside and just see if, do Marissa's exercise and feel into your body and see if you can clear or shift any of that stuff away. And then, like, from a more clinical standpoint, go ahead and use that imagination to put a red box over that person's text in your phone, or put mirrors around that person so that energetically their spirit might start to sense. Like, you can send them a very gentle, energetic message like, I don't accept this anymore. And through that, you're changing your part of the relationship. So again, that was a really brief answer, and it might have confused you a little bit more. But again, this is another topic that we could talk about forever. So anyway, let's move on, because I know Angelina is now going to walk us through another topic and another beautiful exercise about creating boundaries from a place of love and not as a place of fear, using our yeses and our nos. So Angelina, the stage is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Kristen. And I'm going to hopefully throw in a couple of exercises that will help with that question as well from the person in the audience. So today I'm going to go over how to filter yes or no with your emotional boundaries. And when we are setting up our inner workshops for boundaries, we are going to be, we are creating inner commitments for outer reflection. So the assumption with this statement is probably, oh, this is about letting go of people or situations, or building a protection for myself. And yes, that has a lot to do with boundaries. But what I would like to deliver is the intimate questions that we're going to be creating with these boundaries, and checking in and understanding what you could be feeling emotionally with the commitments you decide to create. So, what are emotional boundaries all about? Well, emotional boundaries are about a happy medium. The balance is between shaky boundaries on one side and rigid and overcorrected boundaries on the other side. So it has a teeter-totter effect. And if we don't balance it correctly, we can have a hard fall. So this does require practice and proper support of compassion and checking in on our values of the narrative that we decide to pick. So, however, that can be challenging because a lot of boundaries are put up from trauma and an emotional state that causes a reaction within ourselves that didn't resonate with our higher true self. And sometimes these symptoms that we get from these incidents that are caused, and it's from judgment, being detached from our goals, and not having patient, realistic expectations. So how do we start properly supporting our emotional boundaries? Well, there's a lot to be said about that. And with that, there's the power of yes. So when we think of yes, it's supports, it's courageous, it's risk-taking, but it has a generous approach to an open heart. And when we say no, it's rarely celebrated because it has an influence on ourselves and others. The reaction or situation sometimes holds a rein from a difficult situation. So what does no really mean? No wears a lot of different hats because usually it's associated with a negative response of letting go, or it can be a stance on power. The beauty in saying no is the space between stimulus and response. And between that space, we can decide how we're going to deliver the time, the skills, and our hearts physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Those four things I just said, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, that should be the border every boundary that you decide to make. So using the word no actually is a super hidden power because it can influence. It's really difficult sometimes to engage, and it gets easily misunderstood. So when we're using no with our emotional boundaries, there has to come to a point where we fully comprehend what that really means. So let me give you an example, and this is going to be singular. So imagine a person who tends to have impulsive reactions rooted from suppressed anger from a child. this person naturally has turned into a sensitive giant because the premise of anger builds anxiety, defensiveness, and depression. And when the giant is placed in a situation where it gets a sensitive poke, it may express their boundaries with symptoms from a past trauma. The reaction comes with a verbal and emotional charge. And what often happens is the giant will merge with anger with expressing their boundaries. When anyone is angry or upset, no comes very swift. In the giant's case, no comes easily with a false sense of confidence because it's misconcepted with anger, serving for protection in a positive way. So after the whole incident goes down, the giant says no, it comes back and it starts to overanalyze the boundary and then starts to justify and then slams the door to opportunity. So what am I trying to say? Well, first, when you're saying no, I want you to be very aware if you're saying it from a protective place, a fearful position, or if you're saying it from confidence. No is a tool that constantly needs polishing. People can sense if you're delivering from a true place of power or fear, insecurity, or anger. When filtering your emotional boundaries, I would like to invite you to use some of your spiritual essence in checking in with yourself. And if it's for your highest good or possibly a symptom from past trauma. You know, you heard Kristen say earlier that, you know, we're first the spirit that has a body, that has a mind. And I love that. And our minds will work very hard to protect us. And, you know, the spirit is actually just wildly free. So, you know, we're going to practice how to check in with that. So how do we get our true no and our yes? So first, making a decision on emotional boundaries for our highest good, I'd like to invite you to ask yourself some very intimate, realistic questions. Now, I don't have any slides and it's not going to be posted up here, but I will take my questions and put them in the chat so you guys can copy and paste them and do what you like with them. So starting with a realistic boundary that you're about to make. First, we need to ask, what's my intention with this boundary? Is this my value? And what am I willing to commit to? So making an emotional boundary with any scenario and asking this question, it comes to a couple more questions after that. And this is going to start with, is this who I really am? Is this my value? Is this something I will or will not do? And how will I choose to act and deliver my boundary? You know, Marissa said earlier, you know, words hold frequencies and they're very, very powerful. And if we get that sensitive poke, sometimes the reaction of, you know, asking these values, they're not coming from the true place. So let's talk about yes now. So what does it mean to say yes? So saying yes can have a sense of empowerment, but also a heaviness. A true yes to yourself, a yes that's in line with your values and your best interest, it brings a frequency of connection, respect, and power of wholesomeness. And when you feel aligned with your whole body, it flows. So there won't really be a doubt and it's easy to grow. On the other hand of yes, there is a characteristic type in a person that is always saying yes, especially when they're asked of things from others. And sure, we have all said yes to a request made by others. But if you're always or almost always saying yes, that may reflect something about you, especially if you really wanted to say no. And sometimes saying no can be challenging because of the rejection or the confrontation. So yes, sometimes we'll feel very safe. And there's no universal correct answer why people always say yes. I don't have it. And trust me, I've read tons of books and I've searched and I Googled it and I couldn't find it. So We all have trials and errors in learning and moments of eye-opening liberation and a sense of responsibility, but we also can innovate. So previously, I talked about those realistic intake questions and the values and the commitments that you're willing to make. And I have an exercise that we can go over, and this might be able to help. It's called the inner compass. So our bodies hold tremendous answers that are fueled by intuition. When the mind is having a hard time at landing an answer, we have to tap into the core of our being and becoming present to get a clear answer. When you're contemplating and being indecisive and imagining the worst case scenario, the subconscious doesn't know what to do. When you drop into your body and you can feel what a full, soulful yes really means, and you can make a decision on with that, then it's clarity. And the universe has no other option but to support you. So this exercise helps us focus on the now and staying fully present with one task at a time. You won't be pulled off the center. The most powerful place you can live in right now is the now. So this exercise will help us anchor to the divine guidance coming into your body. So how do we use this inner compass? Well, first, I'd like you to warm up your hands. This is also with your 11th chakra, your inner sphere. Now, one hand will be no, and the other hand will be yes. And I'd like you to feel what no really feels like and what yes really feels like. Now, if you're using your hands and you're out and you're like, yes, no, and you have the slinky effect, and if it's more powerful, place them on your body. This requires you to be still. And sometimes you might have to repeat the yes or the no 3 times. So let's just do this real quick just to see what it feels like. Just sit. So what's no mean? Feel no. 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 Maybe look at no from a distance and just say no. And then come back and feel what yes feels like. Yes. Stand from a distance and say yes. Earlier Kristen said that relationships and boundaries are a 2-way street. And I feel like that with yes and no. I literally felt this 2-way, energetic street. So when you're tapping into your intuition center, you could feel that channel really strong. So if you need some more help and assistance with this, sometimes I pull out my hands to the universe and I ask my guides or whatever resonates with you for a little help, right? So I give it and I offer it, and then I pull it back. Is this who I really am? Right now, I know what I'm doing right here in this moment. It's a yes. This is who I really am. This is my boundary. This is what I make for myself. So, I want you to play with this. It is practice and it requires sometimes visualization, but it is a muscle. And, with my clients, I love this one quote from the Buddha, and I'll say it right now because I just think it's incredibly powerful. But the Buddha said, at the end of the road, all that mattered was how much I loved, how much I lived, and how gracefully I let go. And it's so true. And we have all the power in us. And with that, I will close and thank you all for being here. We'll take some questions and then also we'll do some announcements.
Yeah.
No pause.
Thanks so much, Angelina. That was so beautiful. I wanted to just say too, when I did the no, and I love to place my hand on my body. That's just kind of how I do it. But when I said the no, how I experienced it was I felt the energy stop flowing in my body and it all came to my throat. And I felt like that tightness and that congestion, like I needed to clear my throat. And then when I went to yes, I felt my energy pour into the bottom part of my body, right? So again, a lot of this is just about how do you experience all of this, and it takes some practice. One thing I just wanted to mention is that when you're doing this yes, no decision, sometimes your mind can tell you yes, but your energy tells you no, right? So sometimes, your energy speaks to your mind through your body, right? So you're listening to your body. And, I've been building a business for a really long time. And when I have an opportunity in business, this is what I do. And I'll see like a really great deal for either someone who's going to help coach me or how to get myself out. And my mind is like, yes, this is the best deal ever. You got to grab it right now before it goes. And then I do. And my body's like, no. And I'll feel that no, even though my mind doesn't understand. And I think part of your practice is to start to trust what your energy is telling you, even when your mind is like, what's wrong with you? So there's a little bit of push and pull, but once you get into that trusting, it starts to become kind of a natural thing. So thank you so much, Angelina. That was wonderful.
Yeah, that was awesome. And that was one of the questions on here, which do you listen to, the mind or the body? Definitely you want to listen to the body, to the energy, but like Kristen said, it takes some trusting. So yeah, that's awesome. And thank you, Angelina. It's funny because I also like placing hands on my body and felt kind of like pit in my stomach when I got the no, and then a more expansiveness in the chest when I got the yes. So again, everybody's very different. So just really awesome. But thank you. And it doesn't look like there are any additional questions right now, but if you do have questions, feel free to ask, or if it is more of a private question, you can also email us at ask@rootedin3.com. And ask that way. And I think now Angelina is going to tell us a little bit more about these beautiful candles that we lit, and that smell really good, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I love, love, love. So a woman in our community, her name is Lauren Krueger. She's amazing. She's from Palm Springs, and she's made these beautiful candles. And oh my gosh, her packaging to die for too. It glows. And it's called Good Intentions. And it was born out of the need to create this safe and sacred space. And each candle is designed with an intention in mind and affirmation. And it comes on the labeling and whatnot. So Lauren's goal was to promote mental wellness and self-care through creating a cozy and sacred environment, building up that aura in the room. So please, please, please go over to her website, and I'll put it in the chat, and definitely buy one, because with each purchase, she donates 10% to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And today we'll donate some money that way too. So thank you so much for the inspiration. She does have a discount code, and just type in rooted with a capital R, and I will put that in the chat. But yeah, she is just this pleasant soul, and we'll be lighting one of her candles for every session or seminar, and holding those intentions strong. So thank you so much, Lauren, for your care and helping us women, and we like to help women back. So with that, I will pause.
Thanks so much. Well, let's continue giving stuff away and like holding up people of our community, because again, too. So the teaching component is done, but if any of this resonated you, we just kind of want to invite you just to hang on just for like a tiny bit longer, because we want to tell you about like what we have planned for the upcoming year, because we've got a lot of exciting events just like this one already on the calendar. So Marissa, do you want to start that, and then we'll...
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So the three of us, some of you may have heard us on Clubhouse. And so we have been talking on there for months and months, and decided to do something a little bit more intimate. And as we move through this and kind of get the first cohort, if you will, we would like to offer to you, of course, monthly workshops, monthly Q&A on Clubhouse, and a little community on there as well, along with discounts. The three of us do very different types of coaching, have more than 50 years of experience, and is it 30 plus modalities, and still counting, because a lot, we take trainings all the time and things like that. So discounts on those types of things, and a lot more to offer that Kristen's going to be talking about. But really, it's just about community. You guys, we're learning right alongside with you. We're not pretending to know any more than you do. We may have spent more time on it thus far, maybe, but maybe not. And either way, we just love to have each other along for the journey, and now are making an invitation from our hearts to yours to be part of the journey with us. And it's really just like Kristen and Angelina have both said, like you get to do it your own way, right? We're just here to support lovingly. And so that's really all it is. So I'll let Kristen give you a little bit more of the info. And I think we're also going to have the links in case you are ready to sign up in the chat.
Yep. Okay. So, gosh, I don't even know where to start because there's so much. And again, just to let you know, the three of us did meet in a training that we're certified facilitators for the Energy Codes book by Dr. Sue Morter. And again, what we're doing now, we actually did for months on Clubhouse. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the Clubhouse app in a minute, but let me tell you first about our monthly workshops. So we are going to be doing one just like this. We have set topics for the entire year, but they're what you all need to, what the community needs to hear about. So next month, we are going to talk about grounding. We are going to talk more about aligning your decisions, aligning your intentions with your energy. So more of that inner compass work. We're going to explore the chakras. We are going to talk about energetic habits, which in my experience is the missing link for lasting transformation, is learning how to establish new ways that you interact with the world on an energetic level from an automatic place. So we're going to be doing that. But, we're going to talk about energy and religion. We're going to kind of explore that and see, where, see the common trends there and how it really gets integrated into our lives. But again, I think we're also going to talk about resistance, like what happens when you encounter something in your life and there's resistance. Let's get at that energetically, right? Maybe we'll talk about soul contracts, which came up today, about energetic two-way streets that you have with other people. So you can kind of see there's a really lot to talk about. And we do want to do it in a customized way that will help you grow, right? And like I mentioned, the thing about being part of a community is we all grow and evolve together, and we do it much faster and much more powerfully when we are moving together as a group. So, we are energy beings, but we're also humans. And sometimes being a human is hard. So we always say, let's human together, right? Let's get in there and experience ourselves as energy and as humans. And we'll kind of do it as a supportive group. So the monthly workshops will be on Zoom. It'll be just like this. They will be recorded. So if you can't make it live, that's totally fine. In the portal of the membership, you'll be able to watch them whenever you want. But the monthly Q&As they're going to be live, but we are going to do them on the Clubhouse app. And for those of you who are not familiar with Clubhouse, it's a social audio app, which basically means it's just our voices. And I love Clubhouse because you don't have to be camera ready. You can be doing other things. You can be out walking, folding laundry, it doesn't really matter, but you show up with your authentic voice, right? And there's no likes and there's no comments. There's none of that. You show up and we talk. So we'll have a private space there, a locked space, and we won't record it because this is going to be a space where we want to invite our members in to use their authentic voice and to be able to talk about things without, like the locked notebook, right? So that's kind of what Clubhouse is all about. And we'll walk you through, if you have any qualms or questions about Clubhouse, we can walk you through that because we've been on for almost a year, and it's just been this beautiful, beautiful space to connect energetically. Our beautiful Angelina is also going to lead us through some seasonal ceremonies. She's kind of this master of ceremonial with energy, with ritual, with cacao. So we'll do those seasonal ceremonies on the equinoxes and the solstices, really to help deepen our connection to the energy around us and to the energy within us. We have a lot of discounts. They're already up on the membership portal, but we have discounts on some pretty neat courses. So like we talked about centering, there's a whole 1-hour mini course on how to center. And it comes with a meditation and it comes with some storytelling. So that one is discounted already on the membership site. And, we also started our talk today about what is energy. Well, there's a 2-hour course that explains it from, we look at energy as frequency, as light, as information. We look at energy as divinity. We look at energy as like the infinite potential within us, right? So there's this whole 2-hour course that's also deeply discounted for Rooted in 3 members, all on the site. It's very easy. You just click and you can watch. What else? Special events, right? So again, what does our community need? And I anticipate a lot of these special events likely will take place on Clubhouse, where we're going to bring in some other speakers who might be able to help us really answer your questions and address things. Like I know someone who's a soul contract specialist, right? Maybe we bring her in to do a special session on soul contracts. So, and then of course, free gifts, because we love to show up in service. I think right now in the portal, we have 3 free meditations. One of them is about, Angelina talked about getting to the core of our energy. So there is one in there about the central channel breath from the energy codes, which really helps you connect to your energetic core. I know there's a meditation on there for healers, like how to cleanse yourself if you are an energy medicine practitioner. And there's another one in there that has to do with letting go of living from a place in fear and living from a place of love. So again, the idea here is that we wanted to create a safe space where we can do some exploring. And the reason that we did the discounts is because we don't know what you need, right? So it's all a la carte. So you get in there and you figure out what it is that you need, and then we're going to try to support you with education. So you can tell we're really excited about it, and we hope that you're going to join us.
Yeah, and then Kristen, I think one of the most exciting things, a couple of people have already signed up, but oh, good, you're already getting to this. 3 free healing and coaching sessions for the first 10 folks, and we've already had a couple sign up for the annual membership. So I personally think that's exciting because I have coached with, I think we've all coached with each other at this point, but with both Angelina and Kristen, they are amazing. And like I said, do very different modalities. And it's really just an investment in yourself. And of course, 10% of membership fees donated to charity always. And not only that, but we also love to highlight, again, like the good intentions candles. And like, I'm sure there will be others, in terms of like businesses that are also doing the right thing. So for me, and personally, one of my intentions is always to just like hold hands with as many people as I know that are kind of on the path to consciousness, not just for myself and my family and my community, but for our whole world. So looking at this from many different angles for sure.
Yeah. And, we're giving away the healing and coaching sessions. Again, we're just kicking off our Rooted in 3 community, and we're growing it, but we want to make sure we're clear. If you're one of the first 10 people who buy the annual membership, you're going to get a free session with Marissa, with Angelina, and with myself, so that you can really start to test out different modalities, different ways of working with energy. It's a really great way to like get your feet wet and figure out like, gosh, I'm really curious about energy, but it's so overwhelming and I don't know where to start. Start with each of us and we'll help you figure that out. So that's it. And I think for this month, and especially for today, we are going to donate to suicide prevention again to support Lauren in her good intentions work that she's doing with her candles, as a big part of our community. So we are doing introductory prices right now. We gave you many different ways to fit into your budget or however it really works for you, but it's $33 a month. If you want to just test it out and do 3 months, you can do that for $99. Or if you wanted to do it for a year, it's $333 per year, which basically gives you 2 months for free. And also the 333, that has a really, really special energetic vibration. So when we're in exchange with each other in that vibration, it's super special. And that's actually rooted in one of the main modalities that I practice, but it's also the number 3 we see everywhere. And that's why we're rooted in 3. And that's what it is all about. So with that, we have about 7 minutes left. I don't know. Angelina, did you want to say anything else? And then we can end it, or if anybody wants to come on and use their voice to ask a question, we can do that too.
Right. Well, I would just like to invite anyone in and know that you are supported. And, this is a community and we're here to uplift each other. And I think it's wonderful. So please sign up and let's see what questions we have. What's going on here? Let me open my chat. All right. Probably none. I'm like,
no, all good. But I think that was really awesome. So yeah, just realize we are absolutely here for you. And thank you, Laura, and thank you, Anensa, for already signing up. We're just really, truly just so grateful to have you here. So, and like Kristen said, grateful to share because we can hang out for another, 8 hours to talk about this stuff. It sounds so silly, but it's fun. So,
Yes, and I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful weekend and coming up week. And should we close it out, ladies?
Yeah, let's
close
go
it out.
ahead. And let's give everybody a taste of how we close things out actually on Clubhouse, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just stop. Actually, I'll leave this up for a minute. When we finish a conversation, we like to do a countdown from 5 to 0 before we leave. And in this 5 seconds, again, bring your awareness to your center, bring your awareness inside your body. This is 5 seconds for you to have to yourself. So take a minute to integrate what you've learned. Use that decision, yes or no. If you're thinking about joining Rooted in 3, do that yes, no, and see how it feels in your body. You can take the 5 seconds to do that. You can take the 5 seconds to put a chat in. But again, we just take 5 seconds to yourself to prepare yourself for wherever you are going next. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll do the countdown back from 5, and then Marissa, I think we'll just go ahead and close the Zoom. So with that, we'll count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.